Welcome to Forging a Life podcast with Coach Christine Clark. Forging a Life is a Sunglow transformation production aired on Transformation Talk Radio and all your favorite podcast platforms. If you own a business, have a side hustle, desire to make the leap into self-employment, or just love human interest stories, Forging a Life podcast is for you. Christine Clark is an internationally certified transformational life coach. She is the coach for your entrepreneurial life, and these are her people. Jump into the fire with those forging success on their own terms with courage, tenacity, and resilience. These are men and women you could easily meet on the street in your own community. Gain wisdom, insight, knowledge, and inspiration each episode as these business owners get transparent with Coach Christine Clark, sharing their passions, challenges, and origin stories. This is Forging a Life.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Forging a Life with Coach Christine Clark. My wonderful guest today is Carrie Copley. Carrie is a coach. She is an author, a spiritual director, and speaker. Carrie is the author of Finding Joy, Living an A+ Life in a C- World. She is an engaging speaker. She's a trainer, a life and leadership coach who inspires people to step into their greatness. You know, Carrie believes that her life mission is to empower people to create the life they dream of living. She challenges her audience to get unstuck and not settle for good when great is an option. She inspires and educates others to develop a positive mindset, to reduce stress, achieve more, and to significantly increase the joy in their lives. Carrie, it is a delight to have you with me today. Thank you for coming, joining me and hopping on Zoom. It's been an adventure already, right?
It has, and thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So there is so much about what you do that I admire and love. And I know that you have been on this journey of being a coach and that there was significant life experience before then. So I want to back up and just kind of roll back time to when this kind of got started. Give us a little bit of your background, what you've been doing professionally when you were working for other people before you stepped into entrepreneurship.
All right. That's just a huge question.
I know. We'll take it a piece at a time.
Yeah. So what was I doing? Well, I spent 15 years being a social worker. And I truly felt that's what I was called to do. That's what I was supposed to do. And I loved it until I didn't.
Okay. Yeah.
So for like 15 years, I just really loved making a difference and impacting families' lives. Most of the people I worked with were court ordered, and that has its pros and cons. I had a significant life event where I went through a pretty traumatic divorce. And when I was blessed to be remarried 4 years later, I knew that my social work job, my company was changing, and it added a lot of stress. Social work adds a lot of stress to people's lives.
Right. Yeah. Because you're dealing with really nitty gritty stuff with
24/7.
people.
Yeah. 24/7. My company was kind of taking over new ownership and transitioning, and it was just a very stressful time. And my husband and I decided that to take a step back from that. I was pregnant with my fourth child and decided to stay home. That was really hard for me, staying home. I was blessed to have that opportunity, but I felt, what can I do? What can I do where I can make an impact? I felt called to help people. And I found coaching, and I loved it. I got certified as a career coach. But one thing they don't tell you as an entrepreneur, or in my mind, I really didn't understand, because I didn't spend a lot of time with entrepreneurs, is that means that you make the money, you market yourself, and you got to be out there. So you can be
Right.
the best coach, but if you can't market yourself, then nothing's happening.
Right. Yeah. It all rests on you and your own efforts. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like when you go to somebody, when you go to a job and, they line up the clients for you.
Yeah. So I kind of took a step back from that thinking, I love this. However, this is not the right time. I had, my child was 1 by that time. We just had a
And
lot.
that's a full-time job. Right.
Yes. Yes. Life started to get busy because I had 3 older kids, and I kind of just put that desire on hold. In the meantime, I went to work with my husband's company, who happened, and that kind of grew. I started there just to answer telephones, and I ended up doing a lot of recruiting and training. And part of that training was going in to learn how to be a productivity coach. So then I went and got certified in productivity coaching. And I absolutely love that aspect of my job, except it was like an hour a day.
Okay. So tell me what is productivity coaching when you're talking about employees working with people?
So it was really helping people have a vision. So they were in sales, and helping them take that vision to help them be motivated to do their sales job. So a lot of people focus on money, but when you focus on the money, that doesn't necessarily give you the desire to pick up the telephone and call someone that's really uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
They had to figure out what their why was and stay focused on the vision, their like long-term vision, so that they could do the really difficult tasks to build their careers.
Perfect. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Absolutely.
But that was like an hour a day. And the rest of it was very detailed analytical work, which is not my gift. And so one day I just thought, I am going to step out of all of this. I'm going to get another certification in life coaching. And I want to pull all of this together. And this is what I believe I'm called to do. I want to help people with their careers. I want to help people with their life. I want to help them grow to become who they're supposed to become, and step out of their fear, their anxiety, their what ifs, to become who they believe they're called to be.
I love that. And like so many other people that I've had the opportunity to just talk with, there is all these little steps, and this step and this step and this step, and where you learn a little bit, you see a little bit more, and all of it leads to this thing that you're meant to be doing. I love what you're talking about, productivity coaching, because that is so huge. People think I want to make a lot of money, but you are so spot on. Money doesn't buy happiness, and money doesn't motivate. It's great when you have it, but it's not that thing that can keep you engaged to get there and to be able to find something deeper, more meaningful, as your propellant is key. It's key. I mean, any business, no matter what you're doing as a entrepreneur or as a salesperson, because you are the face of the business. That is huge. So did you just learn that on your own? Read
Which
books?
part? What part did I learn on my own?
The productivity part. Did you go get training in that, or did you put that together?
They actually had a certification program that I got to do, and so they say once you're trained to be a coach, you can coach anybody and anything. But I love, like, the career coach taught me these skills, productivity taught me these skills, and life coach kind of brought it all together.
Right. Yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome. So when did you launch your business as a coach, as Carrie Copley, life coach, spiritual director?
I have 2 answers to that. The first was probably, I stepped into it in 2013, and that's when I created the business. But I officially got my LLC in 2016. The first
Okay.
few years were kind of spinning, trying to figure out what the heck am I, what
Those were
am I
the
doing?
figuring out that people don't just walk in the front door,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Sitting at my desk saying, well, I'm certified. Yeah.
Yeah. My
So
shingles out there were,
yeah,
yeah.
I was on a journey of even learning what it really means to, some people are lucky to be an entrepreneur, but still have an umbrella of a company. So they have
Mhm.
all the structure and the
Yeah.
tools and the encouragement. When you step out to be an entrepreneur, as like most coaches do,
Right.
you truly, you have to be the creator of all. You don't have the forms, you don't have the marketing. You
Yeah.
just have to spend time building your business, and you have to be okay with being in a place of honoring yourself while you build that. It takes time to build it so that you can really focus on the coaching.
Right. I love what you just said about being in a place where you honor yourself while you're building. Talk more about that. What there's nuggets there.
Yeah, there is, because we have this mindset like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not making enough, I'm not enough, I'm not enough, because initially, and I still have this struggle some days where, is it about money? you know why am I doing this? And I'm doing this because I want to impact and make a difference in the world. Money is a bonus, but
Right.
when I focus in too much, especially in those first 3 years, I was just like, I'm not doing my share, I'm not doing enough. But yet I had to absorb all that stuff so that I could do enough. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to learn the ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as being an entrepreneur, no one's going to pay me to learn the ropes.
Mm.
Like, I don't have someone sending me off to training and a mentor. I can have a mentor, but it's not within my company. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
had to get those things and learn them. And really, when I found my mindset getting out of control, kind of pull myself back to say, you're in a process of learning. You're in a process of learning. And this is important. This is important.
That's huge to be able to put it on that this is a learning process and that I am learning. Because you're right, we can get so caught up in what's not happening yet. And the piece of serving the world, my give, what lights me up versus what's coming in cash flow, and how is that supporting the family. And um, coaches are not immune to that. I mean, we,
Right.
we, we walk through people, we have the tools, we have a lot of training that helps us, and yet we still suffer those dichotomies. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, right, right. You started, how old was your youngest then in 2017?
So my
Yeah.
youngest,
Or when you did your LLC, when you started.
okay, so he would have been, you're making me do math
I'm
really
sorry.
fast. He was in elementary school. He
Yeah,
was in
okay.
elementary school. So it was a little bit more free. He's going to graduate in just 3 weeks.
Woohoo!
He's been on this journey. And part of my
Yeah.
journey is wanting to be able to be first and foremost available to my family.
Right,
And
because that's the gift of entrepreneurship is you get to work from home, you get to be there when
yeah,
family's there, and call your own shots about the hours you work and where you spend your time, which is fantastic.
yep,
And I will share a little bit of my own experience working my businesses when the children were younger. Is when I was focused on my business, I felt like I wasn't showing up as I should as a mom. And when I was spending time with my kids, I was having in the back of my head all the things I should be doing for my business, and to create flow within that, to be present wherever I was. Um, that was hard. That took a lot of learning to get that
yeah,
curve under control, because it was rampant.
yes. And that's just another mind game. I mean, it's just
Right.
another mind game. And I really try to work my hours while he was at school. The biggest problem was summers.
Right.
And I would we would try to come to a compromise, like the morning, I'm going to get my work done. And then I'll take you to the swimming pool in the afternoon so we can all go have fun without without guilt. But
Right.
it's always just kind of, working with, I was blessed to have some friends so that we could kind of share. So I would have more time, like they would take him in the afternoon and I would share that with them on another day with having their kids come over. So,
Right.
just finding people to partner with.
Yeah. Having some community and support
Yeah.
that way. Yeah, that's huge. That is huge. Um, Tell me about struggling with your ego as you got rolling in your business, because that was something you'd mentioned before, that intrigued me, just because it was so vulnerable and transparent to say, I struggled with my ego. It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Pride is probably one of the things that I struggle with a lot. Um, and I've done a lot of work in that area. But I remember the first time somebody said to me, somebody who I'd worked with previously who understood and knew coaching, and saying, how many clients do you have? And in all honesty, at that time, I don't remember if I had any paying clients. I should take that back. It was very early on in my adventure. And
mhm,
I had done a group with some other coaches, and I had some free people that I was working with. And so I just threw out this number. I'm working with 8. And my husband just kind of looked at me and I said, well, I am, it's just how you count it. So that was integrity issues too with me.
but
But
but that piece, you have to, any good quality coach starts there.
right,
You have to do the peer coaching with other coaches. You have to do those initial freebie clients to get hours and to practice that skill, so that when someone shows up that can pay you, they're getting
yes.
higher quality, integrity, whatever. I mean,
So I knew that in my head, but I
right.
wasn't sure if she knew that in her head.
Right.
And I jumped to the conclusion that she was thinking, how much money is
Right.
Carrie?
Yeah. What are you
I had no
making?
I have no idea what she really wanted, but my takeaway from that is, Carrie, you need to come up with a more creative answer to answer that honestly, and really, it's you just answer it honestly in a way that honors you, but lets the person kindly know that that's really not your business.
Right. Yeah. What? Right.
It's really not your business. And I don't remember. I haven't had that question asked to me in quite some time, but I don't remember because it did come up like a lot in the beginning. Well, how many clients do you have? How busy are you? And I'd be like, I could meet with you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's good for you? We can do this. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's beautiful. Yes, it's the ego wanting to answer those questions that really, bottom line is, we don't have to protect or defend or justify what we're doing or what we're about, because we're in the business of
Yeah.
building a business. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the ego, I understand that now. Yeah. You want to be able to answer that. Making millions, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like when somebody asks that question, you think they're comparing me to Tony Robbins, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most people don't understand that any entrepreneur on their journey, it's a process. And they say, thank goodness, I learned very early on that to become an entrepreneur, it takes 3 to 5 years
Right.
to even find some financial success. Now throw in the stupid pandemic.
Right.
And anybody who's listening, who's new on this journey, give yourself some grace, because,
Right.
those years, unless you were in something that was in high demand, like hand sanitizer, you're
Right.
probably you probably had a setback.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, in your opinion, does it take to build a coaching business? If you were going to give somebody like this, these are the foundational pieces, what does it take?
Yeah. First of all, I think it takes a good training. You just have to have the foundation, what coaching is, because I think a lot of people think coaching is helping people solve problems by telling people how to fix it, consulting or mentoring or therapy, and it's none of those. So
Correct.
just really understanding what it is. But more importantly, even than that, is in any business is persevering.
Yeah.
And having a plan each and every day, even if it's just doing a little bit. Like each day, I still do this today. I write down 3 things that I'm going to get done, so that at the end of the day, I can feel like I've accomplished. I'm one step closer to being a better coach or better business owner, because some days get really chaotic, and some days, your work is never done. Your work is
Correct.
never done.
Mhm.
And so I didn't want to be that person that was taking it to 9 p.m. because
Right.
that would interfere with my family and my sleep. So it's perseverance. Have a plan for that day, so that you can feel good when you call it quits, but also giving yourself grace that this is a process. This is a process. And if you can hire somebody to help you with the bits and pieces, like marketing that you don't understand, or take a class. The problem with taking a class is it changes in a year.
Right.
How many
Yeah.
times have I taken
Right.
a class only to have, like, especially with social media, how it all changes?
Yeah. I agree. I agree. So
And
yeah.
make sure you're in it for the long haul. I talked to so many entrepreneurs, like within the first year or two, and they're ready to throw it, quit, because it's hard. And it's like, it is hard. So if you can get into it slowly, if I could go back and I could do anything differently, I would have cut back my hours at work and started to slowly build a coaching business. That's probably what I would go back and tell myself. Okay, keep the paycheck for a little bit longer
Uh-huh.
and build it around it. Build it.
Yeah. And that's not what I did either.
Yeah. See, maybe we'll save somebody, and
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. To be that parallel entrepreneur, the parallelpreneur, where you've got that job and then you're building alongside. And even that though, you're doing multiple things. Your days are full. If you're working full time, you still have family, and then you still need to be able to be in it for a long run, make that daily plan, check those things off. And I love when you said, at least 3 things, because life gets complicated. There are those days where everything's happening, especially when you have kids that are engaged in class and extracurriculars and all that. But be able to say, these are the things I'm going to do. And that's huge. That little bit of business work check off each day does keep you in motion. If you lose that, and then a week goes by, and then you're coming back to work, catch up, getting rolling again, it takes so much more time and energy to get moving, that if you can just keep it going a little all the time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I was in direct sales, working full time as an underwriter at one of the big insurance companies in Des Moines, Iowa, and was putting in 60 plus hours a week. I was the professional woman with the briefcase and the pumps, but I was showing up early and I was working late. And I started the direct sales because I thought, money. started for the wrong reason, but money.
Yeah.
And then that year I got pregnant with my first kid. And when he was born, it's like, I don't want to be at the office. Had I even begun to build my own business? No. But I hopped off corporate, cold turkey, figured we'd figure it out, and we did. But if I would have been smart, I would have maybe built my own business a little bit more, but I didn't do that either. I had to get out. It was killing me. And I had a really good reason in that little baby boy, and just made the leap.
Well, that's beautiful, because I think our children should become our first why. I mean, I think our children need to be a priority and not corporate. And if you can do it, and I think most people could if they'd be willing to do the sacrifice. When I stepped out, I just think about, it was humbling. There was no more going out to eat lunch, no fingernails getting done. We had to really financially relook is
right. Because that salary was gone. Right.
Yeah. And how are we going to do this? Right. And it took a sacrifice. And sometimes that was hard.
Right.
Because I had established habits of eating lunch out, just doing these things, shopping, like I had to cut back on and just be more mindful of money, but keeping it in the long haul, saying, this is what we truly want. This is what's best for our family.
Right.
And how are we going to make it work?
And that's a perfect question. How? Yep. Find those resources, find those ways.
Yeah. And if you want it, a lot of people say, well, that's not possible. If you want it, you will figure it out. Your fingernails might not be done. You may not get new clothes, but you can do it. And I think most people can. They just have to be okay with not having all their needs met.
And that's, that's why I really believe that entrepreneurs, people that step out on their own, are the most courageous people in the world, because you step away from all of that support structure, someone else calling the shots and you showing up to do a job, and you don't have the benefits. And then you've got to create the income yourself. And it is scary and it is challenging. And it's not for the weak of spirit.
Yeah. I remember when I first started, I'd have friends call and say, hey, do you want to go to this exercise class with me? Things like in the middle of the day when I'm supposed to be working. And I'd be like, no, I'm working. And I bet that went on 3 years, where people tempted me. And then I would say, ask me after this time, or it went on and on. I never really understood why you should be encouraging me, but really not understanding, if I step away, then that takes away from my business. And it's not only to do the activity, but to get to the activity, that you're asking me to step away for 2 hours to do something. Does that make sense? And I was
absolutely no. But, and I think I think this is a particular challenge for women, because the school and the church and the other organizations that you happen to be a part of see you not working. You don't have a 9 to 5. And so they think you can be their volunteer for this and this and this. And I did some of that. I mean, I worked as church secretary. I ran the midday program for a while at school. And it was like, when I look back at all I was doing and being in the course, also wondering why my business wasn't growing as much as it should, it was like I was working like 5 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And it was like, really? Yeah, really. And then learn to say no, learn to cut back, learn to step back, and to pick and choose, where I wanted to be connected with my kids in their school programs, and what I needed to do or wanted to do for church, and then what I needed to do for my business. So yeah, I mean, maybe men are this. I don't think men have that much asked of them from the community when they're in business for themselves.
Well,
I
they're
think,
not as emotional, so it's easier to say no.
yeah.
I liked it. I came up with this thing very early on. I read a book, I can't remember what it was, but it was powerful. That figure out where you want to be, figure out what's going to help you be who you want to be, and then learn to say no. If you can't go to it, so who's been on a school committee or a church committee and you're driving to it and you're irritated,
Angry, right? Because you're
oh, I can't believe I have this.
been there, done that.
Yeah. Why did I say yes?
Right.
So I decided, and I love to encourage people that with this, only say yes where you can show up 100%. Yes. And be glad you're there and be joyful and give. You know, I think our churches and schools are filled with people who say yes out of guilt and then do nothing but weigh down a committee. You know, they say yes and they sit on the committee, or they never show up, and they don't add value because they don't have time, but they showed up to the meeting to let us know that they don't have time. I was one of those people. And so I'm only going to say yes to if I say yes, then I'm showing up, and I'm going to show up 100%, and I'm not going to complain about it. At least I'm 99% good with that. 95% good with that.
Yeah.
But it's just really honoring yourself, and it honors other people because you're fully there.
Right. Yeah.
You're fully there. You're fully present.
And the key to that, I think, is what you just said: choose, pick.
Yeah.
And if that's, don't say yes because they asked. Say yes because it's meaningful to you, important to you. Right.
And you know what? When you say no, like when I started doing this, I'd say, gosh, it sounds like such a great opportunity, but I'm really sorry. It doesn't really line up with my life vision right now. So I'm going to have to pass. And people would be like, there was no manipulation. There was no guilt. I mean, because they would be like, what did she just say? It's a powerful statement.
Yes, it is. I say that again. Everybody that listens, you want to keep these. These are like key words.
Oh, yeah.
This doesn't line up with my life vision.
Yep. And really, there's oftentimes when I would say, no, come on, we think you'd be really good at this.
Of course I would. I'm amazing. But
they're just stunned into silence.
Right.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks. and you walk away giddy. You walk away like, I honored myself.
Absolutely.
I didn't cave. I didn't say yes to something that I really don't have any interest in at all, but I would feel guilty because I know I could do it.
Right. And when you just said, and I walked away giddy, what clicked in my head is that's part of the joy formula. That's part of what you work with people to achieve, is so that they can make the choices for themselves, so that they can feel giddy about honoring themselves and doing what is important to them.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. Tell me about your book.
Yeah.
Finding Joy, Living an A+ Life in a C- World. Tell us about, did you always know you wanted to write a book?
No.
Okay. So tell me about that. Because book is an important piece of work. And I know that there's a journey in and of itself around that. So how did that come about?
Well, actually, my life fell apart in 1999. And during that year, I thought I ought to write a book. But it would have been a book full of bitterness. It would have been ugly.
I should write a book about this pain I'm going through, right?
Yeah.
Because I know I'm not the only one. Yeah.
I had always considered myself not a very strong writer, probably because my college professor told me that my writing was boring, lacked creativity. Where's your imagination? And so I had this story in the back of my head
Right.
that I wasn't enough. I couldn't do it because my writing wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I let that desire go. I don't need to write a bitter book. And then 2016, I started to get this nudge, you ought to write a book. And it wasn't so much, I really wanted to tell my story, and I really wanted that message to get out, but I wasn't a writer. And just, how the universe works. I was working one day when some training came up, some seminar, how to write a book, how to write a book. And it was going to be in Des Moines, which is about 40 minutes from where I live. So I thought, what the heck, I'm going to go. And then so I signed up and I paid for it. And then I started getting really anxious, like, it's downtown Des Moines. It starts at 8:00 in the morning. How am I ever going to find a parking, find the location, find, all these stories that I started.
All the pushback to not go. Don't do that. Right.
Give myself excuses why I shouldn't do it. And I thought, oh, for crying out loud, just go. And if you hate it, then leave. It's your own money you wasted. Just go.
Right.
So I went and I loved it. And here was the biggest takeaway with the book. I was looking at it like I had to be a #1 bestseller.
Right.
And this company was right. Is about, do you want to be a #1 bestseller, or do you want to market yourself? Do you want to use your book as a branding tool? People will throw away your business card. They probably won't throw away your book. Right. And that changed everything in my mind. Now, that whole story of how I went that way that's another humorous story, which we don't have time for, but that gave me actually the courage to write the book. And so I wrote the book, and it's my story about, when your life falls apart, you can focus on the struggle, or you can focus on the gift of what am I going to do? And all these things were just kind of downloaded to me about how I changed my life. And I did change my life. I thought I was a pretty optimistic, positive person. And then a really good friend said, oh my gosh, like, you're half empty. You're really negative. And I was like, no, I'm not. I was seeing myself much differently than other people were seeing me. Because all the crap of the world I started to take on, and it started to make me bitter and ugly. And I was stressed out. I had health issues because I was stressed. I was living this lie of busy, like I had to be busy. The hamster on the wheel going around.
Right.
Oh man, women live that way all the time. Get off. You don't have to. It's an addiction, and it's pride, because we want to look good.
Right. Show up well for the community, the neighbors, the parents.
And that was a big part of my pride, is needing to be seen, I think. And so the book is about just really how I kind of got reinvented. I read a lot of self-help books, trying to figure out what's wrong with me, but it wasn't just that. Then I got involved in coaching. Then I got involved in spiritual direction. And it's all this process that we need to be living from the inside out, not the outside in.
Yeah.
And when we fill ourselves, we can be so much more for others. But everybody thinks, I don't have time. I don't have time for me. It's others. Well, then how are you serving them with your heart?
Right. Yeah. Because you end up just kind of being an empty shell.
Yeah.
Out there running around and no filling.
Yeah. So I love that. And so that's what the book is about. It's just the 7 secrets of how to live an A+ life were just shown to me when I looked back, like, how did I do this? And they truly do bring more joy. And I'll just give you the biggest one. We talk about these all the time. You see them on social media, but oftentimes we're too busy to slow down to do it, to live a life of gratitude, to know our why, to have a vision of really where we want to go. Very early on in my life, probably until I was like almost 40, I had no vision. It was get up and go and make money so I can have a bigger house, better car, better look.
Right.
That
Right.
that was my drive. And oh, yuck.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying those things aren't important, but but why? The
Yeah,
why.
you get caught up in the motion of going through the motions,
Yeah.
and it becomes automatic. And we're doing it because this is what we've done yesterday and for the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. And then we don't even think about it. We're just going through the motions, and we
Yeah.
realize at some point, this isn't fun. I'm stressed. I'm drained. I'm angry. I'm upset with the world. And then
Yeah. The
time
biggest symptom is you feel something's off, something's missing. And you just can't put your finger on it. And you can't put your finger on it because you're too busy.
Right. You have to step back. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's all kinds of amazing advice out there and ways to live a life of significance or live a life with joy. And you're right. It's just information, and we're not actually incorporating it, because that takes time, and you have to slow down to create the space to do that. Yeah. So tell me about the launch of the book and that kind of thing. When did it come out?
So the book it came out in Thanksgiving 2017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it came out, and I love to help people who are working on writing a book, because I made so many mistakes. Like, I didn't know just how you launch a book and how you do, how you start promoting, because it's all about promoting yourself, which is so uncomfortable.
Right.
So in 2017, but I really like to say 2018, because there just wasn't much.
So you're saying that the weekend of Thanksgiving is not the time to launch your book? Okay.
No, especially when you don't have a plan. Like, if I would have maybe had a plan, like, here you do a book launch, you have like the party, the celebration, maybe all that kind of stuff. But I got the book and I was like, oh, what's next? Even though I coach people on how to have the vision and how to work life backwards, I didn't do the book. I don't know why. I didn't do, like, now I got the book and it's like, what's next?
Okay, well, printed, now what?
Yeah. And
Right.
I didn't have a plan. And that was a different part of my business so in my business, I always know I have to have this plan and work life backwards, but I didn't take that one little piece of my business and work it backwards.
Did you know that the book was part of your business? I mean, or was it its own entity?
Good question. So I wanted it to be part of my business, and I really, how I envisioned it has not turned out. I wanted to use it to become a speaker for, like, big corporations. And really what it's been much more powerful with women and Christians.
Okay.
Because it has a very spiritual aspect about, getting centered on who you are. And I speak to some women's groups in corporations, but really I didn't even necessarily expect it to be a women's book. I think it's just kind of how it's snowballed.
Okay. Right. So where can people get your book?
So they can find it on my website, which is www.loveyourlife2, that's the number 2.com. And I think it's only $10 there, or on Amazon if you put in Finding Joy, Living an A+ Life in a C- World. And I think it costs more there. Amazon takes all the fees. Amazon takes a huge cut. So I decided to put it on my website. That is a better deal for people.
Nice. Back to serving people, which is where this kind of all got started.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Right,
where my heart
right.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's the future? What, going from 2022 forward? What's the
Yeah.
plan?
Great question. So my vision is just really more, I'm getting into retreats and women's retreats and quiet retreats. I think coming out of the pandemic, what a lot of people have experienced is they know that something's off in their life. So it's
Absolutely.
really kind of been a blessing in the coaching field because people are looking for um, what's next. How can I was at a women's thing this weekend, and I was just a participant, but I can't believe how many women said that they've had these dreams in their heart and they've just put them away because they were too busy with everything else. And
Oh,
I think that's God knocking on you. Like, I love
right, right,
this is part of your plan. And you can't, if you're not going to step into that because you're too busy with everything else, we have to listen to that.
right.
And so I'm really excited about that. We're going to be offering some retreats probably starting this fall at a beautiful lake, a lake house. And
Nice.
just really, I love to speak to people about joy and how to live life differently.
Yeah. And that's so needed. And I think you're right. I think 2020 was a huge year because of all the disruption. It really kind of shook our foundations. And with the shutdown and having to shelter in place and all that stuff that we lived through, um, it made all that busyness
Yeah.
evaporate. And so what do you got left? And it's like, oh, maybe maybe I can make something change. Maybe this is a bigger deal because now that I can see it, because I'm not running all over the place, let's do something about it. It's interesting to me. I've talked to so many different people that are like new entrepreneurs, and the idea and the business was birthed in 2020 during the
Mhm.
shutdown because they went looking for something. What can I do? Or they had time, like the one gal's a baker, and I mean she had time to play with recipes to
Yeah.
create things. But yeah. Um, so for the people that like this retreat that you were at over the weekend, have had those dreams that they've shelved because they were just so busy, they need to, I'm prompting them, reach out to Carrie. So how do people reach you?
So once again, if they go to my website, www.loveyourlife2, there's a page where they can connect with me. I'm also on Facebook under Love Your Life Coaches.
Okay.
I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn, Carrie Copley.
Yep.
And so those are just multiple ways. But yeah, I would love to talk to you I just slow down and listen to those dreams. Think back about a dream that you had, maybe even when you were much younger, and check to see if that desire is still there.
And if it is,
Yeah. Be obedient.
yeah,
Even if it's scary. I mean, I think that's the biggest journey as being an entrepreneur or writing a book. It's do it afraid.
right.
Do it, and that's kind of a cliche now, but it's really true. You can do things afraid and still find success. And the more you step into that fear and courageous, the further you can go.
Absolutely. What does it cost people if they don't answer that idea, that thing that's been placed on their heart, that desire, dream, whatever it is, and they shelved it because life happened, they went to college, they got married, they had kids, and they just started marching in line. But what does that cost us when we have that thing that's been that unanswered dream for so long? What happens to us?
People think that your life purpose is this, like this one big moment. And what I say, your life purpose is those little yeses along the way that are going to lead you to the next purpose and the next purpose and the next purpose and the next purpose. So if you don't say yes, then you're going to feel something's off. And I think it is a joy stealer. That's what it cost. You can't be the person that you were created to be if you're not willing to say yes and be uncomfortable and to find the time to say yes.
Right. We miss out on joy.
We miss out.
We don't get to be giddy.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever used the word giddy, but I like it. Did I use it? I used it today. So it must be, we lose out on giddy.
I mean, to me, that I love the energy of that, because I can feel it, that happiness, that laughter inside, that because I'm making a choice, honoring who I am, what I'm about. There's nothing like that. I mean, that's huge. And that, that's worth all the work.
Yeah. And what if you're an entrepreneur, or if you go to work, it doesn't matter if you stay home with your kids, if that's what you feel called, find the joy in it.
Yeah.
Find the joy in it.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Is there anything else you want to touch on or talk about, Carrie?
I don't think so. I just appreciate being on. Thank you.
I appreciate having you. This has been an awesome conversation. I'm excited to be able to share this with everybody. This is Coach Christine Clark. This has been Forging a Life. My guest today is Carrie Copley. You can find her on her website at loveyourlife2.com. She is also on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram. Carrie, this has been a dynamic conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Christine.
You are welcome.
Welcome to Forging a Life podcast with Coach Christine Clark. Forging a Life is a Sunglow transformation production aired on Transformation Talk Radio and all your favorite podcast platforms. If you own a business, have a side hustle, desire to make the leap into self-employment, or just love human interest stories, Forging a Life podcast is for you. Christine Clark is an internationally certified transformational life coach. She is the coach for your entrepreneurial life, and these are her people. Jump into the fire with those forging success on their own terms with courage, tenacity, and resilience. These are men and women you could easily meet on the street in your own community. Gain wisdom, insight, knowledge, and inspiration each episode as these business owners get transparent with Coach Christine Clark, sharing their passions, challenges, and origin stories. This is Forging a Life.